Marina Patel had always believed she belonged, not because wealth, status, or name made her feel rooted, but because the Patel family was tightly wound, proud, and silent. From the outside, they seemed the model of respectability. Her father, Rakesh Patel, built a manufacturing empire in Pune, India, with grit and stern moral codes. Her mother, Latika, ran the charitable arm, organizing free clinics, feeding orphans, and maintaining the belongs to everybody veneer. Marina's older brother, Suraj, was the golden son, top grades, helped in the factory accounts, charming, and always present at social gatherings. Marina, 2 years younger, was quieter, more introspective, more drawn to the people rather than prestige. She studied literature abroad, came back with ideals of fairness, equality, and occasionally, the impolite truth. Everyone in the Patel household understood one thing: loyalty to the family was unspoken, but mandatory. Marina's return home after university was celebratory. Except that she had changed in ways her family found awkward. She questioned certain business practices, noticed how laborers worked 16-hour shifts in the factory, without overtime, how waste from the paint shop leaked into the river nearby, how bribes quietly greased official permissions. When she voiced concern, her father hushed her. When she pushed further, Suraj smirked and warned her not to embarrass the family. Latika, torn between maternal love and marital alliance, would salmon pink smile and say, "Rakesh just wants to protect what we have built." But Marina could smell betrayal in that protection, betrayal of the workers, of the community, and ultimately, of herself. Then, a secret surfaced. Marina found, among her father's office files, evidence of a fraudulent export license. Some paperwork was falsified, shipments declared differently to dodge taxes, environmental rules violated. Worse, there was proof of a slush fund in an overseas shell company from which Rakesh had siphoned millions, money earmarked for the charity work. It was not only criminal, it was moral bankruptcy. Marina confronted Suraj, who, after a moment, admitted he had helped with the accounting entries. This was how the Patel family had grown rich. Suraj said it simply, like it was part of their inheritance. Marina fled to her room, heart pounding, betrayal roaring louder than any voices downstairs. That night, as Marina lay awake, she realized it was too late for gentle persuasion. Rakesh's empire, built on workers' sweat and broken promises, had illusions to maintain at all costs. If someone spoke, everything would collapse, factories shut, contracts voided, political alliances ruined. Marina understood fear, not of prison, but of losing prestige, losing control. Around her, the family plotted how to silence dissent, guardians, trusted lawyers, even threats. Marina knew that if she didn't act, the corruption would deepen, the victims multiply, and the family name would carry the shame she already saw in their eyes. So the seed of revenge planted itself, not from anger alone, but from the sense that justice demanded something drastic. For weeks, Marina watched and listened. She recorded conversations surreptitiously, captured overheard admissions, gathered documents, payroll ledgers showing unpaid overtime, environmental reports falsified, letters manipulating local government officials. At first, she considered going to the police. But she understood they were bought, officials had stakes, guardians had fears, legal systems stretched thin. No, she needed something bigger, more public, and shocking enough that the Patel family could not simply bury it. Marina reached out to Meera Singh, a journalist with backbone, who had once exposed a politician taking kickbacks. Meera was cautious. To take on the Patels meant putting her career, perhaps even safety, in jeopardy. But Marina offered proof, irrefutable documents, recordings, witnesses, some factory workers willing to testify, though fearful. Meera saw this was not only scandalous, but widespread: environmental damage, worker abuse, financial laundering. She agreed, but insisted on slow, careful strategy: leak small stories first, build pressure, then drop the bombshell when legal and public momentum had built. Simultaneously, Marina approached Anil Connor, a labor activist, whose father had died from poisoning in the river that ran by one of the Patel factory sites. Anil believed Rakesh Patel was responsible, but had no evidence. Marina offered him access to water test results, names of subcontractors dumping toxic waste, photos of fish kill that villagers encountered. Anil, moved, agreed to help gather ground-level testimony, villagers, survivors of illnesses, whistleblowers in the factory. He risked his safety, but the chance to bring justice, to have the powerful held accountable, drew him in. Marina also had to safeguard herself. She understood Suraj watched her movements, that Rakesh's lawyers had eyes everywhere. She changed routines, avoided the house when meetings were held, used encrypted communication with Meera and Anil, kept backup copies of everything in hidden places. Quite deliberately, she claimed illness to her father and family, used the cover when she traveled to meet witnesses. Quietly, a network built around her, Meera arranging public interest attorneys, Anil organizing local protests, villagers ready to sue. Meanwhile, tensions at home rose without Marina openly acting. Suraj taunted her, implied she was wasting her degree abroad, Latika wept about shame, Rakesh admonished her for being disloyal. None of them suspected exactly how far along her scheme was, because Marina had learned to suppress anger, to seem yielding, obedient, so they would consistently underestimate her. They thought she was still the dutiful daughter, who could be controlled. They didn't realize that each kind word she offered was also a lie she told to stay alive. The first leak came in a regional newspaper, not national, small front-page article about environmental damage near a Patel plant. The water tests, the fish kills, villagers complaining of illness, lung problems, skin rashes. The article quoted anonymous workers, said local officials had warned the factory management. Rakesh dismissed it in public, baseless rumors, competitors trying to hurt us, people who want fame. He placed calls, quashed investigations, paid inspectors to find nothing. Suraj continued to tar the journalist, calling Meera a liar. Marina watched him from across the table at dinner, heart pounding as he insulted Meera, while Latika asked Marina to stop listening to that nonsense, to focus on family, honor. But Meera's next piece was stronger: financial audits, internal memos, slips in accounting where shipments declared at lower cost, where taxes weren't paid, where donations to the charity were less than public claimed. Meera named actual figures. The public began whispering, "Are the famous Patels clean?" Meanwhile, Anil organized protests among workers, demonstrations at factory gates, local television covering mothers whose children had health issues. One of the workers, a young woman named Sushma, collapsed, her disease traced to solvent fumes unprotected. Her story went viral locally. Suraj panicked. He insisted Rakesh pay hush money to certain environmental agencies, bribe more inspectors, threaten the journalist. He confronted Marina, accusing her of betrayal. "You're doing this to ruin us, to shame us." Marina, coldly resigned, told him, "What I'm doing is to save lives. What you're doing is pretending innocence while people die." Suraj laughed and said, "Your university taught you ideals. This is business." The clash between principle and profit exploded, but Marina stayed silent about her total plan. The family's reputation took damage. Community leaders who once spoke at Patel charity events began to distance themselves. One politician publicly expressed concern over environmental permits. Business partners asked for audit guarantees. Bankers were nervous. The pressure began to build. Marina realized this was the moment to escalate, the moment the Patels could no longer simply deny or suppress without losing face, without legal consequences. Marina's plan culminated in a long-form exposé, a documentary made by Meera, aided by official environmental police, forensic accountants, and filmed testimonies. The film was released online and broadcast in regional news. It showed workers laying tile in the factory with no mask, paints oozing into nearby waterways, children playing near polluted rivers, villagers taking water in buckets from taps that turned orange. It also showed documents proving export license fraud, shell company transfers to bank accounts in Switzerland, taxes avoided, and the charity arm being used to whitewash bad press. Latika was shown in private video clips agreeing to mislead in press conferences. Suraj was exposed as deeply complicit. The legal system responded. Environmental regulatory authorities lodged charges, tax authorities opened investigations, public prosecutors assigned cases. In the community, anger flared. Protests, picketing, calls for boycotting Patel products. Local volunteers began cleaning up the river themselves, documenting medical cases involving NGOs. The government, under pressure from media, issued show cause notices. Shareholders of the Patel company began demanding transparency. Banks froze some loans pending investigations. Suppliers pulled back. Rakesh, whose very identity was tied to respectability, was shaken. His business empire, which he had built for decades, was threatened by exposure, sanctions, withdrawals of contracts. He confronted Marina late one night in the study, books and papers strewn across the floor. He screamed, "You made us into criminals." Marina stood across from him, weary but resolute. She answered, "You were criminals. I just showed the world." She refused his pleas, refusing his threats. Suraj cried that she had destroyed their family. Marina asked him, "What about the people whose lives you destroyed? You never thought about them." Latika, heartbroken, tried to speak in defense of Rakesh. She said family must uphold its name. But even Latika could see the pain of the villagers, the children, the workers. She saw how Marina's documents were backed by forensic evidence. She saw protests. She saw that public opinion had turned. At the end of the confrontation, Rakesh realized that he might lose everything: his fortune, his reputation, possibly freedom. The trial dragged on for months. Courtrooms filled with witnesses, factory workers, environmental scientists, whistleblowers. The defense tried everything, claiming fabrication, attacking Mira's sources, accusing Marina of betrayal, of being manipulated by jealous rivals. Suraj publicly disowned Marina, called her insane. Latika wept in court, as her husband's past actions were laid bare. In the end, Rakesh was convicted on several counts: environmental violation, tax evasion, labor rights abuses. He was fined heavily, ordered to compensate affected villagers, shut down several factories, some operations suspended pending cleanup, and given a prison sentence. Suraj, though not jailed, was barred from company management, disqualified from holding director positions for several years. The charity arm was placed under independent trustees. The shell companies were seized. Marina won neither joy nor complete peace. Her relationship with her family was irrevocably broken. Latika visited her in small ways, letters, small phone calls, but neither Suraj nor Rakesh spoke to her. Many in the community praised her, but others labeled her as cold, daughter who betrayed father, claimed she destroyed livelihoods, because closure of factories meant layoffs, even if those layoffs were being replaced with safer practices, better contracts. Marina felt guilt. For every displaced worker, for every broken wedding celebration, for every family that lost income even as justice was done. Still, she also felt something resolute: that secrets could not endure forever, that corruption flourishes in silence, and that sometimes, a person must choose between loyalty to blood and loyalty to truth. In the aftermath, Marina spent years helping rebuild parts of her community, organizing health camps, funding clean water initiatives, working with labor rights groups. She never regained the kind of love she once took for granted in her family home, but she gained self-respect, allies, and the knowledge that injustice was exposed, that around her, people's lives improved in small ways. In the dim light of dawn, as Marina walked along the cleaned riverbank, children laughing around buckets of clean water, she realized revenge was never simple. It cost more than anger, demanded sacrifice, and changed even the avenger. But sometimes those costs were necessary prices for truth.